Hey everybody, and welcome back to Daz Studio. In this video I'm just going to do some more rendering, really. Before I get started, a huge thank you to everyone for subscribing and hitting the notification icon. That really helps me out. And of course an even bigger thank you to my members and patrons. Your names will run across the bottom of the screen at the end of the video. So in this scene in my game, the main character is snooping around the house, and he sneaks into his mum's room and is just snooping around. And his mum comes out of the shower wrapped in a towel, and so he has to hide in a closet. Simple enough scene to render, you would think, except for this scene has no closet, which is a bit of a problem. So what we're going to have to do is create what I suppose can be either behind the door or a faux closet kind of scene. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to look through my content library and just see what I've got in the way of doors, because I might have a door that's got slats in it, or a door that, you know, can from a close-up angle at least look like a closet door, and then we can go from there basically. So just bear with me for a moment and I'll see what I've got. Lo and behold, I discover that I've got a sliding door that will fit the bill perfectly, and it's quite wide as well. So let's just slide that back in there. So we can shrink this down and put the camera behind it and it will give us that effect. So let's just go with scale there. And we can just put this in front of the camera, which I think I'm going to put the camera in this corner of the room. So swing that around there. I'm going to pop this. He's kind of hiding, so he's crouching behind this door. So I'm going to put the camera on one of my bedside tables. Seems to be in a bit of a weird situation, so we'll probably have to move that. I'm thinking probably this height will be fine. So I'll pop my camera in here, apply active viewport transform, and then that's cool. And then I can just swing back round and have a look at where that camera is, and then just move this prop into place. And what I'm thinking of doing is, if I just give that a bit of a Y rotate, I'll bring it up to here. I'm kind of thinking of having it at an angle. Let's just bring that down again. Kind of there. Come back into perspective view. I can move that much closer to the camera. Come back into camera view mode. Okay, so that gives us a kind of hiding behind the door feel almost. I could probably copy this prop and have one facing the other way as well. Let's do that. So edit, duplicate node, boom, and then if I do it's going to be 210, I want to say. Oh, that's 210. Let's try. There we go. Right, yeah, let's flip that around the other way. Is that going to look weird? Yeah, let's put this back to 33. There we go, that looks a bit more sensible. And we can bring that across there. Kind of there, so it looks like the door's open. Now if we were to go into our camera now we can maneuver our view a little bit. And then that creates the illusion of the door. Now there is another thing that we have to look into here, and that is that there is still light leaking through, and in order for this to appear like it's an actual closet, we need to kind of hide or prevent light from getting in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a primitive. It's going to be a cube, and it's just going to be, let's say, 2 meters squared. That's fine. Now if I copy this guy, Control C, Control V there, that brings up our cube here, and we can just scale this up, and we can move it around a little bit as well until it fits the purposes that we want it to do. Let's get that up a little bit more again. That's cool. So what I can do now is I've got this selected. I'm going to go into the geometry editor tool, which is this checkerboard looking shape here. Click on that, select that front face, right click, geometry editing, delete selected polygons, boom, yes, whatever. Now we've got no light can escape in through there other than on the top. So now if I drop this down on the cube, I can actually hide that there. And now if I were to go into our camera 2 view move there, and if I stick this in NVIDIA IRO mode, we should feel like we're in a darkened closet looking into a lit room. So let's just see what happens there, if we get that effect or not. So as we can see, that's a pretty cool effect. Now what else we can do, we can come into our camera properties and we can give it some depth of field, and then we can set the focus to be slightly longer field of view. So I'm going to change this to maybe f32, and I can bring in the focal distance to about 3 meters, and then that gives us a bit more of an illusion of what's happening here. See, and then we can move the camera around as much as we need to view what we want to see in the room. So I'll look around a little bit. It's going to take a moment because of the view mode that we're in, but you know, we can went a bit too far there. So we can change this, and we can change the angle over to there, so it looks like, you know, the character's clearly hiding, but the mum character is out there doing that. So now all I need to do is put the mum character in a position and a pose that I want her to be in, and we can push this render out. So I'm going to jump back out of NVIDIA Aria mode into texture shaded mode. I'm going to come out of my camera 2 into perspective view mode, and now I'm going to put the mum character in the pose that I want her to be in, which is nothing extravagant or difficult. It really is just going to be a case of a natural looking pose of someone who's just walking into the room. So her entering the room is going to be the render that I create at this moment in time. So we can just go into poses by function, and we'll do walking. See what walking poses we've got. Again, doesn't have to be anything overwhelming. Let's go with this one. Let's just see what this one looks like. Bear in mind, she is wearing a towel, so she can't do anything overly athletic. And I've sort of toyed with the idea of putting one of the you know, like a towel on her head, but I think she's probably already kind of had dried her hair off in the actual bathroom and has just come in to get changed or whatever. So I can do that, and she's obviously not going to enter from the garden, so we can move her over this way, rotate her so that she looks like she's walking into the corner of the room. I can't remember if this towel actually has a deforce modifier on it or not, so we'll find out that in a moment. Let's just give this a simulate anyway, because her hair is deforce. We'll go into our simulation settings, turn off the memorize pose option, and then we can just simulate that. Cool, so that's a simulation run. The towel doesn't have a deforce modifier on it, it's just the hair. So now if we jump back into our camera 2, we can see, we can't actually see her very well at the moment, so he's obviously hiding behind the door. We can slide the camera across this way a smidge, and then just rotate that camera along there so that you can actually see. And if we need to move that door number 2 across a little bit more, we've got the option of doing that. We can just if you select the correct door, it doesn't matter. The gap between the doors is smaller than it was now, which is the main thing. So I'm going to actually come out of perspective view now, and with that camera selected, I'm going to check that the mum character is actually the focal point. So we can actually drop the focal distance down. He's hiding behind the door, he's looking at her, not in a weird creepy way obviously, but there we go, like that. Perfect. And now I can go back to my camera and you can see, there we go. So I'm going to just push that render out, and I will show you the final results when it's done. So here's the render. Probably going to re-render this one if I'm honest. I'll cut this one off quickly, a bit too soon. There's still a little bit too much grain here, but I just wanted to go through what I would do in terms of post-processing for this image now. Usually, obviously, you see me adding things like bloom and lens flare and things like that to these images to add a bit of realism. But in this case, what I think I'm going to do is quite the opposite. So first thing I'm going to do is Control and J to copy this layer, and then I'm going to go into my channel, select a green layer. That's my marquee selection tool. Go to Control A, then go to the Move tool, and I'm just going to jab the right arrow once, turn RGB back on. And as you can see, that just gives us that little bit of chromatic aberration. It's really a really subtle effect, but it does add a little bit of realism to the image. And then what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use my mask there, create a mask of this. So all I want is the stuff that's in focus to have that chromatic aberration. I don't want it to be on the out of focus items, so I'm just going to mask out those areas of the image so that, oops, silly me, press the wrong button, and just drag that down there as well, so that just removes that artifact from the edge there, and then that creates us that effect. Next thing I'm going to do is create another layer, empty layer. I'm going to fill it with black, and then I'm going to adjust the opacity right down to about 20%, 25%, something in that ballpark. I'm going to mask that again, and then I'm going to, using my brush tool, I'm going to bring my opacity back down to about 30%, flow down to something in the region of about 50% thereabouts, and then I'm just going to make my brush really big, and just going to tap a few times so that there is less shadow over the mum character, so it looks like this area of the image, the left hand area of the image, is brighter than the right hand area of the image. Again, just drawing your attention to her rather than any of the stuff that's going on, like the doors. For the little bit of effort that it took to make them create that really cool effect that makes it look like you're peering through some kind of shuttered door, and just fills that negative space quite nicely. So I think that's pretty much all I will be doing with this image. Thanks ever so much for watching, guys. I genuinely mean that. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you in the next episode. But until then, you take damn good care of yourselves, alright? Bye-bye.